President Buhari assents to amended budget. New Electoral Act on trial as National Assembly candidates emerge for 2023 general elections. And straight from the National Assembly primaries, House of Representatives candidates share experiences. Hello, and thanks for joining us on You and Your Reps. Observers can begin to make a picture of what the 10th House of Representatives might look like. Now, this follows conduct of National Assembly primaries by political parties. We'll be engaging some House members who have emerged candidates of their political parties on the impression of the Electoral Act 2022 in its first major outing. Welcome. I am Victor Azu. We begin by informing you that President Muhammadu Buhari has signed the Appropriation Repeal and Enactment Bill 2022, recently passed by the National Assembly. A statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President of the National Assembly, House of Representatives, Umar El Yaqub, indicates that 7.1 trillion naira is for recurrent, 5.4 trillion naira is for contribution to development fund for capital expenditure, while 3.9 trillion naira is for debt service. The statement adds that 817.6 billion is for statutory transfer. Chairman of the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Climate Change, Samuel Onuigbo, has been elected standard bearer of the All Progressives Congress for the Abia Central Senatorial District in the 2023 general elections. Onuigbo, who currently represents the Ikuano, Umuahia North and South Federal Constituency, gives us his assessment of the party primaries conducted in line with the new Electoral Act.
It was not easy, more so when one ran for such exalted office in a place that is well known, not a completely rural environment, involving the state capital, part of the local government that has a university, the research institute, and then also the campus of another university, Government College Umuahia, and the rest of them. So stretching down to Osisioma, which is the industrial hub of the state. So you don't expect such a place to be easy. It was tough, but we thank God that at the end of the day that he granted me victory. The new Electoral Act has, wonderfully, amendments, improvements on the act that we amended, in that we put in a lot of effort to eliminate some of those things that crowded primary elections in the past. I recall that when we went on a retreat with INEC officials and members of the civil society and some other persons, other stakeholders in Lagos, the chairman, Professor Yaqub, said clearly in his speech that he would like us to take a very close and critical look at what happens during primary elections. He pointed out that in 2019, they had over 809 pre-election cases. And of course, when lawyers go to court to represent INEC and represent even the individuals involved, a lot of resources go into that, time and distraction. And then the uncertainty that characterizes preparing for the main election. So it was that reason that that was one of the reasons why in doing whatever we are doing, we now looked at how to make the election, the primary election, to be done ahead of time, many months ahead, so that even if these problems or these issues of going to court come up, you'll be able to clean them up before the main election starts. I mean, I just pointed out something. We've never had primary election at this point where you have 6, 7 months, 8 months before election proper. This is the first time. So, and why we did that, because by his grace, I was a member of the Joint Technical Committee, where people represented the House, according to geopolitical zones. I represented the Southeast. So a lot went into this to make sure that we improve on our election. It's an ongoing project. It can never be perfect. So far, there have been some improvements that are targeted or aimed at reducing the problems that come up with elections. So we're going to see significant improvement this time around, including giving INEC enormous powers on this issue of people who come, some, wield some small guns and say a returning officer must declare them. We have empowered INEC to be able to review such results, and where they were, fraudulently obtained clearly under duress, some under, somebody holding a gun to your head. Now they can cancel it. So a lot is contained in it now, so much to help us improve on our election. And of course, you talk about the issue of electronic transmission of results. That also is intended to ensure that results obtained from the polling units do not change by the time they go to the collation center, because the evil is always at the collation center. So all these now have been improved upon, such that when these results are transmitted, the result even before the final announcement is made. So there are so many improvements that are there in the new or the amended Electoral Act. We would like to see a situation where the electorate, the stakeholders, the employers of the politicians, who are the masses, who are the voters, where they take interest, where they participate, where they do some shortlisting of the individual that they want to put up for a bigger fight. They must get involved. Otherwise, why do we say that power belongs to the people? So we can improve and ensure that, the statutory, those who are elected to hold certain positions and who are holding some positions like, members of the National Assembly and some other ones. Not that we should crowd it with, political appointees and all that. That will become a little bit unworldly to handle. So it's important to we have experimented with a lot of things in about 24 years. So there's need for us to ensure that we work on things that have the potential to help us to broaden and deepen our democratic practice for the best result. That's the way I would like to approach it. Yes, we can improve on what we have now, because this one is suppressed, it's small, and in some cases, people don't even know those who are coming to vote for them, because they were just, elected from here and there, and they will come, do the job, and again, you don't see them again. But if you have party officials who were elected at party congresses and who are going to be there for a certain number of years, and who are also looking forward to being re-elected. So you see, there's some kind of attachment there that is likely to motivate them to conduct themselves in a particular manner. This democracy that we are practicing, I mentioned having been in a system for nearly 24 years. Well, we started in 1998 to prepare for the election of 1999. There's need to continue to work on it, to improve on it. I see it as, a work in progress. But we really have to move fast to tighten some of the loose ends so as to get the best. So in effect, what am I saying? I am saying that we can go ahead and amend this and ensure that we include what is required, because clearly we have made some observations during these primary elections. And we also know that very many people were victims of how some things were done. So there's need for improvement to ensure that it is broadened a little bit to accommodate many more people. And then we now work towards the one I have discussed, which is the primary election that involves everyone, where they choose who they want to put forward to go and compete with the products from the other parties. The electorate, they have to be involved. It should not be left in the hands of a few party administrators who sometimes, if not well, mentored or organized, sometimes give in to some pressures.
You and your reps also went to town to gather views of ordinary Nigerians on the primaries.
I don't buy the idea of making a consensus. I don't buy it at all. Because anything that comes with consensus, it has to do with favor. Our leaders or the party leaders will only choose those whom they are favoring, while the masses will not have a vote about that. Because whomever the political party appoint will be the one to be the flag bearer. So the processes are also has a lot of things that need to be rectified and then put it in order.
Yes, I believe it's a right step for a nation like Nigeria, and we're growing, and we will get it right. Even the Western world are still learning, but with time, we will get it. We believe it's going to give everybody a neutral playing field to showcase what you have.
It's been very funny. We see how on the internet, on the television and so on, how they are monetizing the election process, which is which is not a common practice. It is ridiculous. It brings the election to ridicule, because it's like they are now buying votes. There's no way you can get the right person where you are monetizing the electoral process.
The INEC should be fair and impartial in the conduct of their mandate as a judge, as a person, as a referee in the process of the election. They must be impartial. They must do the right without taking side of any particular politician or section of the country.
Executive of each party, how they emerge is very key. Because if you have wrong people emerge at the executive of the party, wrong people will lead to wrong screening of their flag bearers. And then you will actually have wrong leaders. So I think INEC should do more to ensure that political parties are actually being properly guided and properly monitored, so that the people who emerge as their executives are those who are properly, processed. So if we get it right at that point of election of executives of different political parties, then the chances of getting it right, for the choice of leaders and those who will be flag bearers and all of that is a whole lot higher.
Can you imagine a local government I came from Borno State? A whole local government has only 1 or 2 delegates that will represent the whole population of my local government, just to choose that they are the one to elect, or they are the one to select the presidential candidate. This is something that I really don't support it. I don't support it, because the processes are not that good, and it will be of no use to our democracy.
Now, what does the phrase conference committee mean in legislative business? Well, if you are not too sure, we spoke with Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business about it. Here's what he told us.
There can never be a bill unless the two chambers agree. So when a bill is passed in the House with different versions disagreeing with the Senate version, then that is the point at which a conference committee will now be set up of equal numbers, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 10, 10, depending on the distance, of equal numbers. Then the two committees will now agree as to the final version. Then once the committees agree, it's binding on the two chambers to now adopt as a final report of the National Assembly on that particular subject matter.
Spokesperson of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Carlo, has won the ticket of the All Progressives Congress for the Bende Federal Constituency. He tells us his assessment of the new Electoral Act in the field.
The Electoral Act has given time for the political parties to reduce the amount of litigations, especially pre-election litigations, that ordinarily supposed to have been handled in-house by the political parties. So with the spread of time, you have all the time in the world to settle issues. So it's something we must be happy about, especially also when you consider the provision of Section 80 with regards to political parties being encouraged to have a register of members, which the parties are encouraged to keep as a corporate entity in soft copy and in hard copy. That will increase transparency. What happened recently in most of the political parties where money played a major role, it was like becoming a norm that to run for a presidential election, primaries, that the bigger your pocket, the bigger your vote, is anti the spirit and the letters of the Electoral Act 2022. It's anti it. It is one thing that we are going to look at once more. Because there are so many people who are competent, who has the capacity that we need for leadership, but who are not fortunate enough to have the kind of what I call the pocket muzzle, or if you call it the deep pocket, to be able to. And if you only leverage on the size of your pocket in presenting yourself for leadership, what it means is Nigerians are the one who will suffer it. Because it's not their competence that is speaking. And what Nigerians are looking for is nothing but competence and merit. This was one of the reasons why initially we insisted on direct primaries. Direct primaries in the sense that let the man with the highest number of popularity and acceptance be seen to govern or to represent his people openly, where people will queue, those who are interested, who feel they have a franchise to exercise, queue and determine that. But somehow we are meant to include indirect and again consensus. So, because you see, the smaller the number of these delegates, the decision makers for who leads, the higher the amount of money spent on them. That is what the experience from the field has shown. it was an oversight that the National Assembly was not able to pick it up, that they excluded statutory delegates from the amendment. It was not a healthy amendment. And we wanted to rectify it because no law is cast in stone. And that was why we represented it back to Mr. President. And how we wish Mr. President had ascended to it. You know what this would do for the polity is that most of those elected delegates will be monitored by the statutory delegates. And these statutory delegates are people elected by the party in their various offices, past and present, as well as those who have occupied position or occupying political positions at the moment. So you see a bunch of people who are not hungry, who are not there to be influenced by offers, pecuniary offers. You see men who will be there with objective mindset to interpret the needs of Nigerians against the capacity of the man or woman presenting himself or herself, as to be able to make the right decision for the generality of the people. But in this case, their hands were tied. And if we talk about participatory democracy, the wider the scope, the better. And I will encourage the Parliament to keep pushing for that statutory delegates to be there. That is something it does for the advancements of our democracy. It encourages those stakeholders to be interested in their stake. It encourages them to lead, even though they are out of political office. But those who rallies around them sees that the element of their relevance has not been thrown to the trash can by virtue of the provisions of the new Electoral Act 2022. The restoration of the dignity of those who have walked in the corridors of power, representing the people, working for the people, that have been recognized by the constitution of various political parties, was for a reason. For stability of the political parties, for cohesion of its membership, and for loyalty. You cannot do without experiential knowledge. You can't, of the parliament and the procedures in the parliament. If you age out all the old members who have been there and who knows how the institution works, a bunch of freshers will take us back to where our parliamentary practice started, the teething stage. We are supposed to be crossing the teething stage. There is institutional memory, and people have to push that institutional memory, those who have acquired experience. But that notwithstanding, it is only for those who are in the parliament and participating actively in the parliament that I refer to in my last analogy. Many come to the parliament and they just pass through the parliament without the parliament passing through them. They are not interested in debates. They are not interested in motions. They are not interested in bills. They just want to have the title. It's like, let's go in there. We are representing our people. Grab what we can grab for our people. Some people don't even grab anything for their people, because at the parliament you're supposed to look for the needs of your people, do proper needs analysis of your people, and come to National Assembly and see how you can get the right pegs that will block those holes in your federal constituency. That is what personally I've been doing. It's not about the prefix and the suffix that goes with being a member of House of Rep is how much impact, am I able to make? How much different am I able to make in my federal constituency since I've been here for 3 years? Now, if you have a class of those kind of people making impact-oriented legislators, you should return them so that they can also hold the hands of those who are coming new, who are passionate with the ideas you just mentioned, who have fresh, innovative ideas to move the country forward through legislations and motions and all the rest of them.
What do you think? Interesting perspectives there. And ours is to wish all our respondents the very best in the general elections. That's been you and your reps. Thanks for your time. I am Victor, so let's do this again.